And so I heard once you made a comment about how often you sort of so it was the sort of the impression of GapFiller is different in Christchurch than other cities in New Zealand. Have you been doing many other projects outside of the Christchurch area, and have you found that to be a slightly different process if you go beyond, I guess, where you're sort of already set up a network of people?
Yeah, that could be a very long answer.
Okay.
I'll start with the short version and see.
Yeah.
So, in Christchurch, whoops, my computer is trying to auto update itself.
Nope.
Might slow down our video. Okay, let's see. To start with, in Christchurch, we very much have that. I mean, we came into existence and had a lot of prominence at a time when there wasn't much happening in the city.
Yeah.
So the amount that we say featured in the media and things back in 2011, 12, 13 is crazy in retrospect. And so that's still how most people in Christchurch associate us, as a disaster response organization. Also, almost all of our work in Christchurch has been heavily tilted towards what we might call project delivery, actually putting some sort of installation or community amenity in physical space in the city. So those two things, I think, still really define how a lot of people think of us in Christchurch. Our work in other cities, partly for practical reasons, partly because of our philosophy that local leadership is really important and so on. Very rarely have we done hands-on, on-the-ground project delivery in other places. We do a lot of consultancy, a lot of mentorship, a lot of strategy development, or like at the moment, partnering with landscape architects and urban designers and planners to develop a master plan for a town 6 hours from here. So that involves, an amount of community engagement, creative thinking, kind of concept design, but it won't necessarily result in us hands-on delivering projects in another place. So I would say, in Christchurch, we're more known and respected for project delivery, and elsewhere we're more known and respected for our strategic thinking. Yeah.
So you're trying to activate people in their own cities rather than take yourself to impose in the city. You're more trying to help the people who are already there to do their own projects or have their own ideas around.
Yes, or very often help the council or other agencies in those places to help their residents be more involved. So often there's that real risk averseness. Councils have trouble letting go of control, and so both through just begging and pleading and showing examples and showing kind of safe frameworks for how it's been done in other places, we can help that linking between communities and the agencies that are in charge.
Oh, okay, interesting. I'm going to take a fully different turn here. This is a topic that's sort of kind of near to me. When I was looking online, I saw about how you've had a quite a strong background in theatre and film, as well as a few things and note about landscape architecture and environment. So I myself am studying architecture, but I'm really interested in my hobbies, and outside of that include dance and singing and sort of theatre. And I was wanting to know how you may have felt having an experience or an interest in film has sort of impacted the way you may have responded to or developed sort of GapFiller. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give a two-part answer.
Okay.
The first part is, I think, on some level inherent in everything we do is the notion of kind of unlocking the creative energy of a place.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in a way, whether you've studied an arts discipline at all or not, most people have some sort of creative practice, if you want to call it that. And for a lot of people, it's something that's kind of a hobby that's hidden at home in their garage or something like that. And so that's one of the things that a lot of our projects do, is try to tease out those creative people to be more public. And then suddenly they get a bit more prominence, but also it's just adding to the, I don't know, the vibrancy, the sense of identity, uniqueness of a place, something if you can really tap into and kind of bring out into public, those sorts of things. So coming from an arts perspective broadly, that's always been something that we've been kind of thinking about. But actually, in terms of shaping the thinking of GapFiller, it's more the my theater background and Coralie, one of the other co-founders, rather than the film. So underlying the theater program that I was part of is a kind of funny niche discipline called performance studies. Have you ever come across it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't looked into that at all.
Yeah, it's not taught at too many places in the world. I think only a handful of universities, but it's a discipline that was formed in the 1970s, and it was kind of at the intersection of real kind of avant-garde, politically minded theater and performers, and sociology, anthropology, and kind of one of the foundational ideas of the discipline is that everyone is performing all the time. And what's meant by that is the idea that we are all playing social roles. So no matter what you're doing at any given time, even if it's the first time you've ever done it, there's something like a script that exists in your mind that you've picked up from watching other people do it, from having parents, from, you know, watching TV and film and pop culture and all of this stuff. So that's not to say that we're not free to kind of break from these scripts. They're not like word for word things, but that sets the real social conventions and expectations for what behaviors can and can't be exhibited at any one time. Sorry.
It's all good.
And so I guess that's another way I might interpret urban acupuncture. It's the idea that you know, one filter you could put on and look at a place, a city, and analyze it is through the lens of social roles. What sort of behaviors and roles do people play in this place? And you will have experienced that some cities or some parts of some cities, people dress differently, people act differently, people walk differently on the street. Some are more reserved. There's a narrower range of behaviors that people seem to feel comfortable exhibiting there, and others are much more diverse and I don't know, inclusive or something like that.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that.
Yeah, I happen to prefer the latter sort of thing. So yeah, we think about our interventions that we make in the city as ways of interfering with those sort of social roles, and hopefully making little invitations to people to be a different them than they might normally be on a Monday at 10 a.m. or, you know, something like that. So yeah, I guess that grounding from performance studies is still a big part of how I consider our work, or what you might call urban acupuncture.
Yeah. It's a really, really beautiful way to put it, I felt with that one. Okay. Yeah, I want to go from here. Sorry, just to have a quick think about what I want to ask next. Okay. So I guess starting after the September earthquake, 2010 means you guys are coming up on, in a way, your 10-year anniversary
Yeah, someone
at the
just
end of
reminded
this
me of
year,
that.
which is, I say, quite exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to know if you had any sort of ideas or thoughts of where you might take GapFiller, or someone else may take GapFiller in the next 10 years.
Nope.
Big open-mind question, though. It's easy.
No, I mean, more, you know, 10's just a number. It's pretty arbitrary, but it does,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, those round numbers do get you sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
We have been on a path for a while, more and more, where we're thinking about how do we increase our impact, basically. And
Yeah.
we can do quite, and have done, quite small projects, and quite a lot of them. And yeah, I think we've been pretty instrumental in changing a sense of identity of Christchurch, anyway, of
Yeah.
this place. But that doesn't necessarily translate into big urban infrastructure, the built form of the place, or anything like that. And so, without relinquishing, you know, our practice that we've been doing, we are trying more and more to get involved with architects, landscape architects, planners, partner, you know, join forces and actually get involved in the big development projects. So not only thinking about kind of interim use, what could this site be used for until it's developed, that's still a large part of our practice, but also how could we be involved in the what comes next, or how could the experiments and trials we're doing now actually inform the development to come. So
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.